things all our ghost stories have in common. One, the person died suddenly and dramatically, had no time to prepare for the moment of death, for the transition. The second thing is they have a very strong attachment to place. There's a reason they're haunting. There's a reason that Freddy's still haunting that place. Johnny Jump Up only got 1 year in prison for his... Tell me if you see someone. The third set of windows back, that's Lizzie's room. That's Lizzie's room. Lizzie is one of the most popular ghosts in Park City. The room gets freezing cold so he could see his breath. And he felt a hand on his shoulder and he spun around and someone must have died in this room. Let these people pass. Someone must have died in this building. So he started asking Lizzie. Everyone had seen Lizzie. It's always been men with beards.
Who has a beard?
Should have grown a beard before he came.
It's built on an old Indian burial ground. We have a similar scenario here up on the hill behind us. Those lights through those trees, that's the Jefferson School. That's where the miners sent their kids to elementary. Diphtheria, cholera, smallpox, Spanish flu, you name it. The cemeteries and the obituaries are littered with kids that died the day before the 18th. Talked to 15 of these guys, 89 years old, used to work in these mines, used to go to the school. We asked them, are there ghosts in at the Jefferson School? 3 of them said there had to be ghosts in this church. So Rob, my investigating partner, and I, we went and talked to the priest there. His name's Father. Take this street. This is the Daily West Canyon. This is Daily West Canyon. Underneath is the Daily West Mine. If you go up the street, it goes right to the mouth of the mine. You can't get in, but that's where the Daily West Mine is. It's the worst mining disaster in Utah history. In 1902, an explosion killed 34 men right underneath that hill. These miners, we talked these old-time miners, 89 years old. The first question we asked them, are there ghosts in Park City? Every single one of them said the same thing out of their mouth. First thing out of their mouth. The most famous ghost in Park City's history, the ghost of the Yellow Rain. Now, ghost stories is always evolving, always changing. We're always doing new investigations, collecting new stories. We collected a news story about 2 months ago, one of my favorite news stories. It was nighttime, middle of the night, and he was getting tired. So he decided to walk around his patrol car to wake up. So he jumps back in his patrol car, freaked out. He's looking out the windows. He doesn't see anything. He looks in his mirror.
Did he live?
He lived. Why did he live? I don't know, until 1 month ago, a 10-year-old boy in the crowd, I never had an answer. Someone said, how come he lived? And the little 10-year-old boy said, because he saw it in the mirror. The most haunted house in Park City was originally a brothel, a whorehouse. But in 1907, they kicked off all the whorehouses off of Main Street and put them to the row. Since the 1960s, as recently as 4 years ago, 11 deaths in that house from drugs and alcohol overdoses. It's a very old building. We know the owners, and they swear there's bones, there's skeletons. Come by here tomorrow or sometime, you listen at the door. Half the time I hear organ music coming from this building, which is crazy. There hasn't been an organ in this building in 35 in the 1880s. She lived to be 96 years old. When she died in the 1980s, she's quoted as saying, this old gray mirror might be old and gray, but when I die, I'm not going anywhere. This house called us. They said, our house is haunted. I said, how do you know? They said, when people come in through the foyer, they get so sick, nauseated, sometimes they run to the bathroom and start throwing up.
Wow.
So I said, I gotta check this out. So we go to the house, Rob and I, and we walk in. The second I walk in, I get a shooting pain between my eyes. I said, there's something going on. We go to the archives. Easiest ghost we ever found. We call it a residual ghost. The death is so horrific, she's reliving it over and over and over again. Like a Park City's history, we found over 350 people that had died. They didn't report how they died. There was no place where they were buried. It was sort of swept under the rug. So our next stop behind me is the Elks Lodge. BPOE, Brotherhood of Protected. About 2 months ago, I was telling this story. I was about to launch in this story, and a 10-year-old girl in the group screams bloody murder. Scared the crap out of her. This is a tool we have in our Ghost Hunters toolkit. If there's a spirit present, if there's a ghost present, it'll move the plumb bob in a circular motion, either clockwise or counterclockwise. If there's no spirit present, it'll just move in a pendulum. That's the Earth's gravity, or it'll just dangle. It'll go. Me started 8 years ago. I first moved to town. It was the middle of winter, dumping snow even harder than this, and I was up at the Spur Bar. I looked down the street, there are 2 walking hand in hand. 2 people, 1 set of footprints in the snow. This is our last stop on the tour. Now this is one of the stories that really prompted us. This and the Centennial House to start giving the ghost. And we were going to write a book, and she said she heard these stories, and she said, "Man, you guys got to start telling people what's happening." If you look up in the middle of the rotary, there's 2 streets, and in between those 2 streets is a row of houses. It's called the Row.